Playing now. Playing now. Live. Live from
I
CBS
have to stop
Sports
recording.
18.
Some law says that.
Okay, I'm gonna call the police, okay?
Should I mute you?
You have to take it out in the lobby. So if you're
No, that was me. I'm sorry.
Are you a paying customer? That's the lobby. You're inside our retail.
Will you leave
You're
the
a
lobby?
retail. That's a lobby. That's a retail lobby.
What's your name and title, ma'am?
What are you doing in here? Customer.
Hey, it's 3:00, Mike. Or at least my time. It's time to start.
Yeah, we've
All right. So
We've
they
been
called all
started
the
for
armed men with
45
guns
minutes.
to come get me today.
We want your identity so we know that we know.
Well, sir, you're not going to get my identification unless I've committed a crime. Sir,
They don't want you. They don't want
sir, for what reason? I wasn't being
you.
disorderly.
It doesn't matter. They don't need a reason.
It is,
You
sir.
make it like ultimatum. It's like, okay, if you do this, then
There's no if. I asked you if I don't leave. You said you will arrest me for trespassing, and I have not been issued a criminal trespass.
This is your criminal trespass.
Okay.
This is your warrant.
All right. So, we went over this the other day. Welcome, everybody, to the Delete Laws channel. As you know, I am Michael Ehline. I am a California and Texas attorney. I do personal injury law, civil rights. Used to be doing a lot of appellate work, but now I'm kind of helping out on the Delete Laws channel, trying to help my friend who's been locked up just manage things. And I've got BZWatchdog today, and he's been doing a lot of really cool auditing work and legal research, as well as public records requests with the U.S. Post Office. And so I wanted to share with you today some of the things that we discovered. But before we get into it too much, I just want to get into a couple of things with you, because we have a lot of people throwing out a bunch of red herrings and sea lawyering and just nonsense. And so I wanted to just really quickly help you to understand a few things. So apparently there's like a really big red herring out there about whether or not a post office has been declared a federal enclave, that somehow that will make a difference in the enforcement of federal regulations. And so just so everybody knows, and by the way, hey, thanks, Willie B. Thanks, South Bama Gump. Hey, Brick, what's going on? Thanks, Emmett. Thanks for showing up. And Willie B, it's late. We're late. No, we're not late. We started on time. What the heck? Why are they saying we started late?
If we started late, it was like 1 minute, man.
Man. Oh, no, dude. Emmett Neely, thanks for coming, buddy. I really appreciate you coming again, as usual. So good having you guys here. Superior Video and Photography, as always. I dig it that you're here. So just really quickly, understand something. So what we have is, when it comes to federal properties, federal buildings that are post offices are exclusively governed by the Code of Federal Regulations. Okay. And so as a lawyer, somebody who's done a lot of cases against government agencies, whenever it's a government building, I just call it an enclave. It doesn't really matter for purposes of this conversation what you call it, because whether or not the federal government has exclusive, proprietary, or concurrent jurisdiction over a post office, the only time it being a federal enclave would matter is for purposes of things like property disputes, title issues, things like that would have to do with the property. The enforcement of criminal regulations within a post office is exclusively and solely governed under the Federal Code of Regulations. And the only time that the only time that a law enforcement agency, from my understanding, would have the ability to cite you outside of their own jurisdiction would be under the Assimilation of Crimes Act under 18 USC 23, I think. I'll have to look it up. But the bottom line is, just really quickly, under the 14th Amendment, we're all entitled to notice and opportunity of any charges or any issues against us. And when you walk into a post office, what you see on the wall is poster 7. And it specifically says that this building is governed solely and exclusively under the Code of Federal Regulations. And because of that, you are going to be trespassed under a federal law. And because of that, unless the local police agency has an interagency or interjurisdictional agreement, they have no legal jurisdiction to cite you for a local violation of a local law. The only thing they could do, and we'll talk about this in a little while, is assist the federal post office or postal security service in making the arrest. And frequently local law enforcement agencies do assist the federal government. in making arrests of this sort. So, let's take a look. Hey, Brick Jonesy, thanks, man, for showing it. Everybody give me a bunch of FCs for free chili. And also, BZWatchdog brought his CopCards today, I think, and his Trifold. And we're gonna talk a little bit about Trifolds and CopCards. And again, I don't have to use them because I have my own local laws and things like that memorized when I deal with law enforcement. But not everybody is going to have access. They may freeze up or go bananas. So we'll talk about that as well as part of this, why it's helpful to have a guide. You know, I'm not saying it has to be this particular thing, but honestly, if you take a look at the way BZ has used them to help him learn and remember things, that's a good thing. And so, by the way, everybody, BZWatchdog is here with me today, and I wanted BZ just to sort of give me a little introduction about what he did to make this video. Because guys, he went over the top. He did public records requests. Go ahead and tell us the process, how long it took, and everything you went through to get this video made for us.
Well, before we do that, I just want to let everybody know that we are being stream sniped because somebody doesn't know the law very well. That's why we're going over it again today. Just to let you guys know right there on video who that was. Always trolling us. I love it. So go ahead and wave. I see you on your snipe. But just wanted to go over this since they didn't want to show my whole video and they took everything out of context and tried to do this. We're going to actually cover the video in full detail today. But as far as in the poster 7, I believe you have that going up. Well, you got a slideshow prepared for us today.
Yeah.
And what I like to do is have Mike actually cover the slideshow just to show that we're not getting the wrong information out there to the public, which he's doing right now, sniping on his channel, which is why we're covering this again and making sure that people get the correct information, because we wouldn't want anybody to get disbarred or have any kind of complaints. So we're going to make sure that we follow, since we've done the research and the homework, and when I'm out there, boots on the ground, messing with the post office, that I'm actually staying compliant within these guidelines, rules, laws, statutes, whatever you want to call them, all the way down to the local level. So with that being said, Mr. Mike, if you wouldn't mind covering this from a lawyer's perspective.
No problem. So really quickly, analyst is saying, what is the context of what we are watching? And so analyst, basically, this is the issue. The Code of Federal Regulations allow the public, the news in particular, to go on to post office property for the purposes of photographing, taking images and things like that. And some people say that it's a non-traditional public forum. Some people say that it's a non-public forum altogether. And so there has been jurisdictional splits between different courts. And so this is an issue that makes it ripe for me as a lawyer and a constitutionalist to talk about, because there are no real bright line rules on some aspects of how we deal with the post office and exercise our First Amendment rights. So, but we do know for sure that the postal power may not be used in a manner that abridges freedom of speech or press. So we know that. And then under U.S. versus Waits, basically the only way, and this is a Ninth Circuit case, and I've briefed it so. So basically under this Assimilation Act, this law that was written basically to help, I guess, the federal police enforce laws when they don't have a similar federal law and charge it as a state action. The problem is you cannot use the same or similar state law to enforce a federal law. So for a local law enforcement officer to go on to federal property like a post office that's exclusively governed under the Code of Federal Regulations, exclusively governed under the Code of Federal Regulations. Should we say that a few more times? Not state law. So in that particular case, if local Texas police come on and charge you with Texas trespass, that would be improper based upon my understanding of the law. Now, let me just really quickly make this disappear. And so basically, if it punishes approximately the same conduct as, in this case, it was an Oregon trespass statute, normally remaining at a post office premises after you were directed to leave. So it's pretty much on point. And to hold otherwise would be to rule the non-abrogation clause would have a tendency to trump every relevant federal statute. So the court did not perceive this to have been the intent of Congress to make that law. So, and then this is an excerpt from poster 7 at the post office itself. So we, the people, under the 14th Amendment, have the right to rely on the notice that we're given. So when we walk into a post office, this is what we see. We see this big poster, and this is an excerpt, and it says all violations of these rules are to be heard in federal district court by a federal magistrate in accordance with applicable court rules, okay? And it says enforcement. Security force personnel will exercise the powers under 18 U.S.C. 3061 sub C sub 2. And it also says under the next couple lines down that basically the way that they can get local law enforcement involved is to enter into agreements with state and local enforcement agencies. Now, I've actually had a couple cases like this in San Francisco a couple of years ago, which we settled. But these were the primary arguments that you cannot have local law enforcement coming on here enforcing trespass laws on a federal property. It doesn't matter if it's been declared an enclave or not, because that's really something that would have to do with landlord-tenant issues or maybe like mineral rights issues, things that have to do with the property itself. But the enforcement of criminal laws on the post office is exclusively governed under the Code of Federal Regulations. Now, if you've got evidence or information that says otherwise, I mean, tell me. Law's an art. It's not a science. So, the bottom line is a federal enclave is just a parcel of land with specific jurisdictional arrangements granting exclusive concurrent or concurrent legislative authority, while a federal building, which is what these are, is a structure used by the federal government in its operations. And for criminal trespass purposes, I spelled that wrong. It should say for. It's treated essentially the same as a federal enclave. Because again, the Code of Federal Regulations governs, and the Assimilative Crimes Act doesn't have the power to subsume with a state statute the federal criminal trespass statute. And that's why a lot of people who get charged with local trespass violations by local police on federal properties usually get the cases thrown out, or we beat those on demur. I'll typically file a demur and I'll get it thrown out because it's like, what? Like, what is this? There's no jurisdiction here. So criminal trespass laws on post office properties are actually supposed to be enforced because the United States Postal Inspection Service has primary jurisdiction over postal property trespass. So criminal trespass laws on post office property are enforced by the United States Postal Inspection Service. The USPIS is the federal law enforcement arm of the USPS. And criminal trespass so in cases involving criminal trespass, postal inspectors have the authority. Postal inspectors have the authority to investigate, apprehend, and refer for prosecution. And I cite some cases there and the statute. Federal law says I can film with no permission. And again, this is poster 7, and this is the CFR as well. This is 39 CFR 232 sub 1 sub 5 sub I, and a couple other ones I can't see. But basically, photographs for news purposes and advertising even, or even commercial purposes, it looks like. And it basically is saying except as provided by law, or the instructions of security force or authorized personnel or a federal court rule, you can take news photographs at the entrances, lobbies, and foyers or auditoriums that are used for public meetings. And other photographs may be taken only with permission. And that would be like where you go, like you showed me earlier, a picture of a chain link fence with barbed wire, I think. Well, yeah, that's a restricted area. So, time, place, and manner restrictions obviously would apply, and you'd have to get permission. So that's an example of a time, place, and manner restriction where, yes, it's a property of we the people, but it's a restricted area. So yes, we have access, but we need some additional permission because there's always a balancing test between a compelling state interest and a compelling private liberty interest, right? So that's the kind of things that I want my people to understand. Now, criminal conduct on federal property is governed under federal law, guys. And so the 39 CFR applies to all real property under the charge and control of the Postal Service, to all tenant agencies and all persons entering on such property, regardless of whether or not they've been declared an enclave. And the way that they would do that is to basically file something or by operation of law within that state, something like taking exclusive jurisdiction over the building. Now, I argued in my other cases that by occupying the property, that enough was, under California law, enough for the federal government to assert exclusive jurisdiction and thereby become a quasi a quasi federal enclave. And that's you can argue that, and that's actually a winning argument. Now, enforcement of postal regulations and rules is going to be done exclusively under 18 USC 3061 sub C sub 2 and these other areas. So we've got local postmasters. With the approval of the chief postal inspector, they can enter into agreements. And that's what I keep telling you guys. Yes, local law enforcement definitely can enforce regs, but probably cannot cite you for violating federal law unless they undergo a very, very extreme course in federal law and regulations. Like, for example, for me, I'd like to become a patent law attorney, but it requires additional legal education, and I don't have the time for it because I'm too busy trying to run a firm and help you guys with your videos. So postal inspectors, the Office of Inspector General, criminal investigators, and others designated by the chief postal inspector, they can enforce the regulations in this section. And what are the regulations in this section? Postal regulations, guys, postal regulations exclusively governed under the Code of Federal Regulations, not a state law. So enclave or not, federal law applies exclusively to postal office crimes, guys. Postal Service is a federal agency, and although it may be subject to state laws like the Vehicle Code, or if it's property purchased after maybe 1940 and they didn't maybe sign some agreement, there may be some jurisdiction left for code enforcement or the zoning people to come and cite that local post office for violating a local building code or mineral rights laws or whatever they might have. But as far as what goes on inside that building, that is governed exclusively by the federal code of regulations. And although I only worked for the state prosecutor's office, I know enough about federal law and the underpinnings, because we did have cases involving like DUIs with FBI agents and stuff. So I know enough to kind of see what goes on between the two agencies. And I know for sure that the post office is governed exclusively under federal law, unless there is an interagency agreement. And if you have information showing me that that's incorrect, well, by golly, I'd love to see it, because I certainly don't want to be spreading misinformation. If there's some kind of a scrivener's error or a misunderstanding, I want to correct that right away. Now, the USPS must clarify or it will be treated as an enclave by the public, in my opinion, because identifying whether operations are taking place, this should be an L, has a huge impact upon individual rights. On the substantive side, federal laws often replace state laws when it comes to land leases. And so that's what I was talking about, BZ, is that the reason why whether or not the building has been declared an enclave really has to do with things like land leases and remedies over the title. It really has absolutely nothing to do with criminal enforcement, because whether there's exclusive or whether there is proprietary or concurrent jurisdiction, either way, the governing law at the post office will always be the Code of Federal Regulations, unless they told the public somehow, and by notifying or identifying that building as not being exclusively governed under federal law. So again, I break it down also, the conflict and official duties with local cops, exclusive jurisdiction, concurrent jurisdiction, and proprietary. And so we know that with exclusive jurisdiction, no matter what, the feds are always going to exercise jurisdiction. And what that tells me, all that tells me is that they're not going to enter into proprietary or concurrent jurisdiction arrangements with people. They have decided that they're going to control that property 1000%. Now, if they get into, go ahead.
So I was doing some research on that.
Yeah.
I don't know is it like after 2005 that they because I saw the enclave. I think that was anything from 1940 to anything purchased after 05 again. Isn't that?
Well, I know what you mean. so they did change some regs, but it's really irrelevant whether you call it an enclave or not. What you could call it is it's a federal building under exclusive federal jurisdiction. But for guys like me, because I'm old school, everything's considered a federal enclave that's federal. But I get it. I get it. If I have a land lease issue with a post office or something, I should know that after 1940, there could be some issues. Maybe the local building code, may not be subsumed by federal law. So things like that. But it really has nothing to do with any of this conversation.
I only asked because I know that between 2011 and recent, they closed down the old post office and moved location about a mile down the road to that location. So that's I was asking because I was reading more on the enclave with the purchasing of the land, and so that's where I was trying to get a little bit more legal clarity.
Well, don't get lost in the minutia or allow people to run you over with red herrings. I mean, look at the mission here is government accountability operations, and we know that whether it is a federal exclusive jurisdiction, concurrent, or proprietary, under all three of those configurations, the post office, the Code of Federal Regulations specifically says that these rules are these are the sole and exclusive rules governing post offices. And if they wanted to change that, they could enter into a proprietary agreement or a cooperative relationship under concurrent jurisdiction. And they could also do the same thing under proprietary if they wanted to. It just doesn't have the same level as legislative authority. But other than that, none of these really, all of these, honestly, in my opinion, BZ, they're kind of like red herrings in a way, because again, the post office is exclusively federal. So federal criminal law is going to be the applicable law here. Now, there's zero proof of concurrent criminal jurisdiction in any codes or statutes that I could find related to the post office. Yeah.
Real quick, I'm checking out the Snipe channel. Somebody put it on their screen. I found a federal appeals case that said that state trespass law can't cover federal trespass law.
Well, yeah. So I cited a case like that at the very beginning, U.S. versus Waits. Basically, that's the what is it called? Hold on one second. Let me pull that up really quick.
Well, we've had a lot of people jump in here since then too, so I kind of wanted to.
I understand. The bottom line is, I'll go back to that in a minute. But so the way it works is, there was an Oregon Ninth Circuit case that came down, I think, in like 2000, and they had this issue. And the bottom line is, you cannot use a state law to replace or subsume a federal law that's already in existence at that location. So a local law enforcement officer, unless they have training in federal law enforcement, they don't have the legal authority to cite you for a federal trespass. And if they cite you for a state trespass on federal land, that is a violation of Title 18 and also the supremacy clause. There's so many issues here. This is absolutely federal land, or it's governed as a federal building. And because of that, it's exclusively going to be governed under the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 18. I mean, it's a legal impossibility, BZ, in my opinion, for it to be anything other than that. But we'll just keep going. Now, arguments for the deep state. The deep state, which would be the people who think that local cops should be able to come on federal land and write you tickets. Their argument is that because if the land was with proprietary jurisdiction and not declared an enclave, they would say that there's not exclusive authority, and therefore local police can enforce state and local laws, including trespass warnings. But the problem with that argument, as I've said, they would never have legal authority to issue federal violations without training in some kind of interagency agreement, which requires coordination with federal authorities. Okay, you guys following me so far? Hopefully you guys are seeing what's going on. Federal law is still the law. And that's what Baffin Sailorist says. So now, arguments against the deep state Leviathan would be exclusive jurisdiction. On federal land with exclusive jurisdiction, the local law enforcement has limited authority, like an emergency, hot pursuit, or maybe in this case, if it wasn't wasn't a declared enclave, a property law issue like zoning or something, right? But any criminal law enforcement action is going to be done through the USPIS or designated law enforcement authorities or by deputizing local law enforcement. But again, when you deputize local law enforcement, they don't have the right to issue citations, guys. They're deputized. They're making an assist. Now, there's legal limitations, jurisdictional boundaries. Local officers have to respect jurisdictional boundaries. Otherwise, we don't have a federal system. They can't unilaterally enforce federal laws unless there's explicit authorization or a specific agreement in place. And then as far as to prosecute, any citations or arrests have to fall under the authority of federal law enforcement and local PD, unless by a local interagency agreement. That's not going to happen, buddy. And so that's pretty much what we have. And now I'd like to show your whole video, and but I want to let you, say your piece before we get it going.
Well, I just want to kind of go. I think that's kind of why, and I'm not sure. I got to look at the case for all the details, but I think that's how Sean Paul Reyes, aka known as Long Island Audit, got out of his trespass and arrest at the post office 2 years ago. It's something to do with where the local jurisdiction didn't have some sort of federal oversight, because I guess he was taken down to like a local jail instead of like the federal facility. So the entire case. I got to look more into the details of grounds on why it got dismissed. I mean, I can only make the assumption based on today's, the slideshow of the federal enclave that was probably why it was dismissed.
Well, again, whether it's a federal enclave or not is irrelevant. What matters is that it's a federal building, and in this case, it's a post office. And because it's a post office, it's going to be exclusively governed under the Code of Federal Regulations. And because it's exclusively governed under the Code of Federal Regulations, if local law enforcement has not entered into an interagency agreement with said post office and they have no training to enforce federal laws, their only option would be to issue a local citation. And they're not authorized to do that. And the federal law prohibits them from doing that. And so if they do that, I believe that you would have grounds for a Title 42, Section 1983 lawsuit for false arrest and probably several other things. But again, I'm only licensed to practice law in Texas. Law is an art, and I'd have to know more about the case. I'd have to look at the file and do additional shepherdizing of the statute to give you a bright line answer. But I'm pretty sure, based on my opinion, even my lay opinion, that I'm right about this, and that these local law enforcement agencies have no jurisdiction to come on there and harass you. And that if the U.S. Post Office is serious about things, that they should go ahead and offer the training classes and cede some authority to local PD. And again, if local PD does this, post office is probably going to have to offer them some kind of a stipend. Some of these interagency agreements that I've seen are about this thick. So when local PD starts enforcing laws on a federal property, federal building, whether you want to call it an enclave or not, it's outside their jurisdiction, and the local taxpayers have to fund that. So as a result, what's going to have to happen is there's going to have to be some money changing hands. And so that's another thing that's got to happen. So there's a reason why things happen. There's a reason why we have federal laws. There's a reason why you have a postal inspection service. And there's a reason why the Postal Service sent out memos to all their postal employees saying to leave guys like BZWatchdog alone and don't cause trouble with them. But they're just not paying any attention, not having it because you're in their hood, and they don't like it, basically. Is that a fair statement, BZ?
Yeah. Hey, before we roll that beautiful bean footage, since we've got quite a few people in here, I just want to let you guys know, don't do what I do. Don't do what Chili does. Make sure you guys learn the law, know your rights, buy your trifold, guys. I've got my trifold right here. I don't utilize it because I've gotten to know it very well now. It's taken about 5 months. But I still keep it in the vehicle in case I get stopped because I don't know why. Because that first thing I'm going to do is invoke that 5th, 4th, and 1st Amendment and not waive any of my rights. So you guys can go over to actually, Gloria, thank you for putting the link up. If you guys go over there and put in that BZ Watchdog sent you over, just put in BZ or BZ Watchdog. That way, Team DLZ knows that I sent you over there. They're also going to go ahead and include a set of 5A cop cards. I know you guys can't see it with my green screen, but I do have a 5A cop card set, driver, non-driver, along with my trifold. I did get an extra trifold that I gave to my neighbor who drives for Uber Eats. She's a young 19-year-old girl, so I wanted to make sure she had that in her car. Made sure I showed her how to use it. Also gave her Chili's links to show exactly how to utilize it, just so she doesn't get caught in their predicament. The fact that she's only 19, she doesn't know her, right? She doesn't know. I mean, the education system here, I hate to say this for anybody in Texas, but it is not the West Coast education I received. So I'm just saying that if you're in one of those states where the education system is subpar, it wouldn't hurt you to get a trifold, because even the cops here don't even know their own laws. And when I say that, I don't mean just the state and federal level. They don't even know their own city laws. They get 24 credit hours in a local college at a D- grade and get hired on with no vetting, pretty much. They just want a breathing body. That's how bad it is here. So go over to deletelaws.com, buy your trifolds, learn the law, know your rights. Okay?
And if you mention BZ, you get a set of cop cards.
Get a set of 5A cop cards, driver, non-drivers. That way you can give them to somebody.
So type in BZ, I guess, when they make the order.
BZWatchdog, just as long as there's a BZ in there.
All right.
There's no specific code. Just put it in the comment section, and we'll make
Now,
sure we get those set of 5A cop cards sent to you. And
can you answer Freeman's question real quick? Because
sure.
I know the answer already, but go ahead.
I don't see where.
Oh, he said, I thought the post office was a private entity, but yeah, it's quasi-private.
It may be a private entity with the federal government who regulates it and sets forth the rules and the jurisdiction. So you've heard that it's a private business. Well, it's a business ran by the federal government. It's actually ran, controlled, and enforced by the executive branch of the government, and Congress is the one that actually sets the budget every year. So it's government ran.
It is. It is.
Technically don't, because it's a quasi-federal agency. I'm sure you guys have heard Mike say that before. The postal employees aren't technically federal employees, as they.
That's right.
But it's on federal land. They get federal money. They get federal pensions and benefits, and therefore have to abide by federal rules and regulations while they're there on property.
Major asset to the Democrat Party in political fundraising. The Democrat overwhelmingly gives to the Democrat Party. So it's major, and they're subsidized billions of dollars every year because they lose money. So
I just want to address Terrence McGowan's comment. He says government ran, which makes it public. Just so you guys know, the fact that there's P.O. boxes in there, everything except for the retail lobby, which has another separate set of doors or a swinging gate that they can secure and lock, is open to the public 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because they can't deny you access to your mail. They also have a self-service machine in there, so you can go in there and buy stamps when you're not able to. The retail lobby is only open if you want to deal with a live person, or if you need to do something like certified mail or deal with the scale or whatnot like that. And those have set hours that are posted also on the front of the door, and it says lobby hour, like full service or lobby hours. So,
well, there is a body of law that says that, it is open to the public, but only for official business. So if you're there for official business, such as news reporting, it seems to me that would be a valid purpose to be there. And so it seems to me that an audit would fall into that category. Now, ultimately, this is going to happen because this is a new body of law. I hate to say it, guys, but this is just a new body of law. There are jurisdictional differences in application and enforcement everywhere. And the deal is most cases like misdemeanors and infractions that these types of cases fall under usually don't go up and make case law unless you're rich. I mean, the fact that Chili's case went all the way up to an appeal for a misdemeanor is unheard of, but sometimes you get lucky. And those smaller cases are the ones that really make the law, just like Alan Beck's knife cases in Hawaii, bearable arms, guys. And that's, so it leads full circle. So really quick, James Forbes says, hi, Jack off. Hi, James. Oh, I must be talking to someone else. Hi, Reek Z. Hi, Chevy. Thank you, everybody, for coming on and commenting and being kind and considerate. I'm going to now play the rest of this beautiful bean bad footage.
And you guys really need to get educated in Texas, guys. Okay. So, but I got 4 people with guns sitting here with badges. You know what I mean? Under threat of arrest to leave.
business that has to do with financial transactions and stuff.
The
They
po-
feel
okay.
insecure
Mhm.
about it being filmed.
When did
But
you
there's
guys become the
account numbers and
feelings
stuff.
police instead of law enforcement?
Okay.
But you're here to enforce the law, correct, sir?
And part of that is being when people aren't wanted on places,
Because of their feelings.
it doesn't matter. Like he was explaining, there doesn't have to be a reason. Or not.
What do y'all do? Go to Tarrant County College for the academy? I'm not trying to insult you, but that's where
Well,
everybody.
if that's how you want to. I mean,
I'm not
we
trying
can
to
have a
insult
civil
you.
conversation, or you can be the way you are. That's
I'm not
fine.
trying to insult you. I'm just. All right, Sarge, what'd you come up with?
What's your name? I didn't get that when I first walked in.
I'll identify as good
Okay.
citizen for
Yeah,
now.
that's fine. Well, I'm Sergeant Bray. If you didn't get that from my name,
I didn't get your badge number.
So 882.
Okay.
So here's the deal.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, BZWatchdog here, doing another post office audit. Doing a mass audit day today. Tuesday, I believe it's May 13th or May 14th. I'm currently over here at 6051 Davis Boulevard in North Richland Hills, Texas. I just left another location where they had a 2-star rating. I'm sorry, they had a 1.9 star rating, and some things happened there. I'm about to go in here where they have a 2.0 rating as well for pretty much the same complaints. So with that being said, let's get this party started. All right, so for those of you who are in North Richland Hills, the address right here, service hours. I got some smart lockers here.
Gotcha. Is there a different address that I can mail this to?
This is Poster 7. These are the rules and regulations that govern the post office. They're usually hung up on a bulletin board near the glass lobby doors.
That's what we showed earlier.
Photographs for news purposes may be taken in entrances, lobbies, foyers, corridors, or not and auditoriums when used for public meetings, except where prohibited by official signs or security force personnel or authorized personnel or a federal court order for rule. Other photographs may be taken only with the permission of the local postmaster installation head. Really old.
So that's the.
Outdated poster 7.
Yeah, so that's the poster 7. And so that is, so when you walk in as an American citizen and you see that, that's their way of notifying you that this facility is governed exclusively under federal law. Their government is giving you notice of that. Now, if they weren't, they would have a sign up saying that this facility is governed under, a interagency agreement, or local trespass law will apply. And I challenge anybody on the planet to show me that. BZ, maybe you should do some more public records requests. I seriously doubt that there's anything out there that would indicate that that's ever even happened in the history of the U.S. Post Office. The Code of Federal Regulations exclusively governs the post office. Go ahead.
I just shot off a bunch more, and I was driving around today, and I was thinking about how many more I could do. So I'm gonna bombard the post. I've actually made the post office my mission, bro. I mean, I've got some few other little operations and missions that I'm focused on, but the post office is like my crusade. It's
good. It's good that you're learning the law, and it's good that you're learning how to do discovery. And public records requests are tricky because typically we get hit all the time that they're overly broad. So what I like to do is drill down, take that information, drill down. It might take you a year to get the information that you want, but if you're good at it, man, it's a great business. You can hold the government accountable, and that's the best business there is. Let's watch this bad chicken.
Look, I mean, I was only in there like 2 minutes when this happens.
What's the purpose of what?
Why are you in here just randomly recording?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sure you heard me. Why are you in here just randomly recording? Is there a purpose?
There is a purpose.
Okay, we don't want to be recorded, so is there?
Yeah, but she's a public servant.
This is the mandatory stand-up talk memo that was issued to all employees.
I mean, she's a public servant. I get it.
Well, here's the thing. She asked if I had a purpose. I answered the question. Yes, I have a purpose. If you notice, she never asked me what that purpose was.
Right.
If she would have asked me, I could have probably dispelled it or explained it a little bit more. But did you see what her answer was? I don't want to be filmed. Well,
right. So now just for the audience in the sidebar, like, hey, Press with Rancor, good seeing you, buddy. James Forbes, the supermodel, looking good. So to give context to what we're doing here, as a lawyer, when we build evidence, you can use direct and indirect evidence to build a case. So you could basically, you don't have to have direct evidence to prove a theory. And in this case, the theory that local police don't have the authority to come on postal property and make arrests when federal law supersedes it all is buttressed by this memo right here that BZ was able to get through a public records request. So you can use this evidence to show, there's a whole bunch of evidence showing that this is exclusively federal law, including the direct evidence in the Code of Federal Regulations itself, but in the way that they respond to public records requests, which we're going to watch right now.
Employees by the Postal Inspection Service, which is the service that regulates enforcing the rules and regulations of the post office, investigating any crime against the employee, patron, or property. Long Island Audit has a unredacted memo here. I got a FOIA back and it was completely redacted.
And what does that memo say? Basically for them to leave you alone, right?
Actually, yes. But if you go over to my community page, I actually have my redacted with the handwritten one. And then you get an unredacted one that's like displayed in that video right there, where you can actually look and see that the words in the format are all identical.
Right. But their own policy, which goes a long way to show negligence, their own policy says basically leave these guys alone and don't do anything to them. Don't talk to them.
That is correct.
All right. And they're lucky they're in business at all. They lose billions of dollars every year.
6.5 billion.
And at like 40% of the country thinks that they're involved in voter fraud.
That's from my boy Brick Jones. He told me I needed more cowbells.
That's great.
Excuse me, sir. I need you to stop recording
She didn't get the
Why
memo.
would you need me to stop recording?
because you can't be recording. You have to take that outside, sir.
I have to stop recording. What law says that?
First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people's peaceful to assemble and to petition the government for a redress
Take
grievances.
that outside?
No,
Okay, I'm gonna call the police, okay?
really, you go ahead and call the police. But aren't you supposed to call the postal inspector first?
I'm supposed to do both. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure you follow protocols.
It's bad. I know their protocols and they don't.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Most government agencies and employees, they're not used or accustomed to being held accountable by the citizenry. And they could argue this is not a public forum. They could try to argue that, but
you know what's funny is they always say it's a government building. This is a federal building.
But they've got to not only argue that, they also have to enforce the federal law properly by use of a federal police officer, in order to do this properly. And then we could challenge it. Because right now, what will happen is
get her good side for YouTube. So
well, it looks like a lot of people are interested. At least you got like 700-800 people in here watching this.
By the way, North Richland Hills, Texas, guys, just letting you know how dumb they are up there.
I was checking out their Yelp reviews, and it just looked every other one is like the employees have an attitude problem. They're total jerks. They're loud. They're obnoxious. They ignore you.
No, not there.
I couldn't believe
Show
it,
me,
man.
as Chili says, show me the video.
Oh, right. Always film.
Hold your government accountable.
Neil Payton wants you to run for president, BZ. Says you got his vote.
Nah, I got too many skeletons in the closet, man. That's why I don't let you guys know about my family.
Good seeing you, Neil.
I'd be like, son Hunter over here did this, and cousin Joe Bob did this. Too many skeletons in the closet, guys.
By the way, after this show over at the Michael Ehline channel, I have a video I'm going to do on qualified immunity and how a lot of courts and judges are finally starting to take the Chile approach. I just thought it would be a cool thing to talk about on a
Look
Sunday.
at that. How many cameras you got?
Isn't it kind of ironic that they tell me I can't film in the post office, but there must be at least 20 cameras just like this one watching her all day?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's right. That's wild, BZ.
How many other cameras was she caught on before she got to work?
Exactly. Yeah, Farrell, it's live, dude.
But she
Farrell
said she
wants to
didn't
know.
want to be filmed.
Right. Farrell, yeah, it's live, dude.
Yeah, because I'm seeing it on my PC and on my phone.
Yeah.
We are live. Looks like a lot of the sniping stopped. So just so you guys know, that's how you shut down a troll channel.
I don't even know what that is. I just try to ignore people who are irrelevant.
I think we gave him plenty of homework to go research.
What I don't understand is why somebody wants to try to find red herrings, because this is really serious. Government accountability operations are a big deal. Look at the way these punks at the post office treat people.
I mean,
This is what matters.
If you trust your government that much, then there's something wrong with you, not the government.
I don't like the way they treat people. We're paying for that with our taxes. Unacceptable.
Well, we're paying for it with our money and our taxes because we're having to pay for the stamps as we go.
And the false arrests. And the lawsuits against the post office for having ignorant employees.
Well, you know what? I'd stop coming in if they refund me all my money back that I paid into their pensions.
Right. That's right.
That's the biggest loss of the year.
I agree. I mean, so basically, let me understand this. So you're standing here and you got another person with you, like backup, but you're standing there, right?
No, I got nobody else with me, man. That's why I'm in the corner.
Oh, wow. So you're just in the corner. So you're really not causing any kind of
problem. And I'm watching, I'm keeping aware of my surroundings.
Right.
I'm in a lobby, man.
It's not like Long Island Audit.
Okay.
Copycatter.
I'm not gonna.
I'm in Long Island.
Follow your asking permission. I'm gonna respectively decline.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, nobody's watching the Watchdog's back on this one.
It's at this point she goes and calls 911 for a non-emergency related issue. I've obtained the 911 call.
That's so awesome.
Here is
Great
the
job.
audio from that call.
Good job. Give him a bunch of ones for BZ for getting that tape.
Address of your emergency?
Yes, I'm a supervisor at North Richmond Hills Post Office. I have a guy in here recording. Respectfully, I told him if he can go outside.
Which address?
And 6051 Davis Boulevard.
What is he recording?
Just recording the area. He's just standing in the corner. He's not a paying customer. He refuses to get out.
How do they know I'm not paying?
What does he look like?
Caucasian.
Oh, take offense.
One shirt, black pants, brown hair, hat, brown hat.
He said,
Black shoes, black hat, Cadillac.
Okay.
do you know when he arrived in?
Brown. No, I do not.
What is your name
Even
again?
though Lakesha, Lakesha.
And you asked him to leave and he won't?
Yes, ma'am.
And your last name, Letitia?
Washington.
I'm so sorry. Say it one more time.
Washington.
Washington. Thank you, Miss Washington. Okay. I have to call him. We'll get him out there. Just don't have any further altercations with him. If anything escalates, call us back immediately on 911, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ma'am, can I ask of your name and your title since you asked me to leave?
Well, that wasn't very nice. They don't seem like they're being very polite.
I think I was fairly being polite.
Yeah, I don't really see you causing any issues, to be honest. Like I've seen you and Long Island both don't tend to get, too out of hand. You're just kind of hanging out.
What's your name and title, ma'am? What's your name and title so I can FOIA all this information?
If you're gonna kick me out, at least get your
So
name.
you're refusing to give me your info? Okay.
Good citizen. What's your name? Good citizen.
Got a forehead. I thought I had a forehead. Good Lord.
So Rich Saves America said one of their comments got deleted. I have no idea.
I'm not in the channel, man.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm not a moderator or whatever they call them. I don't think I am anyway.
So since you're asking me to leave, ma'am, are you not going to give me your name and title?
Michelle.
Oh, Michelle. Okay, great. Got your name.
That was cool, dude. That was like God coming down to earth, giving your name.
I have it right here. It's like
Hallelujah.
I have it right here.
On
your stand-up memo, your mandatory talk.
So that's that memo you were showing us earlier,
The
right?
use of a 911 call when we get done with this.
She won't look at it?
Nope.
Mandatory stand-up talk?
They're just sitting there smiling because they know.
Dude, this is hilarious.
I just want to make it clear, you also violate your poster 7 by making me leave.
Think they're laughing about it?
The only commotion's the employees, ma'am.
They're just having a good time. It's like a cat and mouse almost.
Go to hell, mister.
What are you doing in here?
Nobody blocks James Forbes. Somebody blocking James? If somebody's blocking James Forbes, unblock him right away. That's unacceptable.
James, we see your comments, bro. Just nobody wants to answer you.
Forbes is like the old guard, you know.
Pigs get fatter, hogs get slaughtered. Just saying. Edward Barnes said he bought the Trifold. Edward Barnes, did you put BZWatchdog or BZ in the comment section so you get your 5A?
This is my FOIA from the post office. This is an extra jurisdictional agreement FOIA request. It shows that the local law enforcement in North Richland Hills have no jurisdiction.
All right. So they called all the armed men with guns to come get me today. Well, they kept asking me while I was recording. I tried to give them a brief and generic reason for recording. And then when I tried to ask for their name and title, make sure you don't turn off your body cam.
Now, really quick, here is a potential argument as a prosecutor that I would try and make is that once you're outside loitering, especially if there's not an enclave agreement, like a 100% land title, they could try and argue that that area there is actually, at least partially or.
Actually, you know what? According to your poster 7, Mike.
Yep.
That's where I can do a public assembly. I can't do it inside the building, but I can do it right there in front of the door.
I'm with you, but I'm just saying, like, a prosecutor could try and argue, well, outside the post office is no longer controlled by federal law.
I can assemble there, so that's
I'm not saying
that's why I stepped outside instead of being disorderly.
Yeah. What I'm saying, though, is they could say once you're outside this federal building, you're now on state property. They could try. I'm just trying to come up with a creative argument if I was a prosecutor.
Oh, but you don't hear right here where I said, hey, well, we've already accomplished what they want. I'm off the property. He goes, no, you're still on the property. So
okay, let's hear it. I love that. Okay, dude, you should try to maybe think about becoming a lawyer, dude. I think you're doing a good job, man. You're doing a great job on the research.
Expiring under 18 242 and 241.
So what were you doing here? Were you
Just filming First Amendment, freedom of press. Their poster 7, which governs the rules and regulations on federal property, says I can. You guys don't have an extra jurisdictional agreement to actually contract unless I'm actually being very disorderly or violent. I've already done all my homework with FOIAs. And I told them to call the Postal Inspection Service before they called you guys out here.
You got a name?
I don't have a name because I've talked to several people over there. That's why I was able to FOIA this. And that's why, sir, there's a 1-800 number for you to call. All law enforcement or the Postal Service is supposed to call that number before calling you guys. Okay.
We want your got a name so we know that we know.
Well, sir, you're not going to get my identification unless I've committed a crime. In the state of Texas, I have to be lawfully detained. I'm exercising a First Amendment right to film in public. I didn't cause a commotion. The only reason I'm here is investigating the conduct of.
Now, really quick, BZ, I just want to, just for information purposes, there is a body of law that says if local law enforcement comes on certain federal property, for example, like a concurrent jurisdiction type of a situation, while they're just performing their regular patrol type duties, that's perfectly okay. But if they're coming there for a non-official purpose, so not just for emergency purposes, but for what they call official purposes, but that is a body of law that is not 100% across all jurisdictions. So I just want everybody in the sidebar to know that there's not 100%, it is with most cases, there's not 100% accord with how this is handled.
Well, Mike, I have a quick thing here. I mean, I understand they have to answer a 911 emergency call.
For sure, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they would have jurisdiction to do that.
That's for the postal inspector. They got to answer a 911 call. However, First Amendment protected right of filming is no longer an emergency, and the dispatcher should have been trained properly to explain that they need to call the non-emergency number, but call their local law enforcement.
Hey, that's actually a really great argument. I mean, damn, bro. I mean, that was give me a bunch of ones for BZ. That's a very good creative argument, and I think that would withstand judicial muster. I really do.
That credit can't all go to me because I have done the research as far as in the 911 versus the non-emergency number. But Brick Jonesy's actually been tackling the dispatch 911 311 relation to the calls and how they're supposed to be actually handling them for some time. And I would like you to get in touch with Brick on maybe your channel and to find out what kind of problems he's been dealing with the dispatch and the 311 and the 911 situation. So maybe there's another way we can tackle that as well, because everything I've been encountering comes down to training and leadership. If they're not trained properly and the leaders are not enforcing and being accountable for what their troops are doing, it doesn't matter what law is passed or what law is overturned or repealed. They're just going to keep releasing rookies on the street doing the same stupid things. So, or in this case, hiring dumb employees to work at the post office.
Yeah, it's also a big time lowering of standards. Just, the whole DEI thing, you got to make everybody gets a trophy.
Yep.
And you can see whenever you do that, it just, the standards go down and the service goes down and your rights get neglected. Just bad. Yep. It's always bad when you lower standards, period. That's one of the reasons why, I'm always loyal to the Marines, because they're the ones who hold out the longest when the government tries to do all this social engineering. They always fight it the longest because those standards are what made us the greatest fighting force in the world. So really quick.
Shout out to Brick Jonesy for trying to tackle that.
Definitely. Give me a bunch of ones for Brick Jonesy, and then Brick, we should collaborate because I need help too, man, because I've got some other First Amendment related issues I want to talk about. But I'm going to go ahead and
Roll
by
that.
the way, yeah, I want to go ahead and get you back get this back up. Let's put these two cool guys down here in the corner so it looks cooler.
The Postal Service. And sir,
Well, this business does not.
it's not a business, sir. It's a federal entity. And like I said, do me a favor. If you guys want to complete your investigation before you take action, do anything that would cause you to lose your qualified immunity here, I would expect you call that Postal Service and ask if I have permission to record on the property.
So the manager and her supervisor,
Sir,
they don't want you here. They don't want
sir, for what reason? I wasn't being disorderly.
It doesn't matter. They don't need a reason. It doesn't matter. They don't need a reason.
It doesn't matter. They don't need a reason.
It does, sir. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Okay, do me a favor. Your body cam all right?
Of course.
Name and badge number.
I just love the way you do this, man. And this is like, I know they're just going to keep getting better too, because this is one of your first efforts.
Officer Penny, badge number 913.
Officer.
That's big money in Texas, man. They have no overhead. They get perks. That's real money.
I just
badge number 947.
Officer.
Officer Cranford.
Obviously, this guy's eating a lot of steak. Probably likes it raw because that's the best way. Otherwise, you'd ruin it, right, BZ?
Sorry for teaching rookies how to violate citizens' rights on federal property.
Okay. Now, if I don't leave, you're going to arrest me, right?
Yes.
So under threat of arrest, you guys are saying that you will, not can, but you will arrest me if I don't leave right now.
What criminal trespass is?
Yeah, I have to be. I issued a criminal trespass warning, and it has to be a federal code on federal property, not state.
Or you can
Not
give
state
50
penal.
push-ups.
Can I get a supervisor, please? Just call a supervisor.
Drop and get 50. Hurry up.
We're out of the lobby, so we've already accomplished what they wanted.
They don't
Which
want you here at all. They don't want you on the
I know, but I'm already out the property for whatever they're
This is
claiming.
still their property.
Okay. Supervisor, I'm
This is
requesting
still their
supervisor.
property. Oh, okay.
And I already told you I leave under threat of arrest, but we're going to get a supervisor first.
So he basically is
I'm letting you know I'm
basically
complying
confirming
with
you're
your
still on a
orders, even though they're
federal
unlawful.
area.
It is, sir.
Make it like, oh,
You're in a federal building.
If
So.
you do this, then
There's no if. I asked you if I don't leave. You said you will arrest me for trespassing, and I have not been issued a criminal trespass.
This is your criminal trespass.
Okay.
This is your warning.
This is your criminal trespass.
Okay.
This is your
Beat him up good.
This is your criminal trespass.
That's
This is your warning. This is your criminal trespass.
Okay,
This is
so-
your warning.
Case
Now-
law, Moore versus United States Post Office. And you guys really need to get
He's
educated.
giving you a
That's-
federal. So just really quick. Okay, so this is the problem that I have with this, you guys, as a lawyer, is that this is a local law enforcement agent, and BZ has already done the public records request, and there is no record. In other words, there is no interagency agreement that gives these local law enforcement agents to come onto a federal building or federal land that's governed exclusively under the Code of Federal Regulations that's supposed to be exclusively policed by the postal police. There's no deputizing agreement. There's no effective agreement that gives these officers the ability to enforce federal law. And since they're enforcing trespass, there's already a federal trespass law. And because of that, this other law that I talked about a little earlier, what did we call it? The Assimilative Crimes Act. The Assimilative Crimes Act would not be able to be used by these local law enforcement agents because there's already a federal trespass law. Okay. So they would have to arrest you.
By the way, under Title 18, 1752 section. So it's
Okay.
it's trespassing under restricted areas.
Copy that. So, and that would even be a bad statute to use because you're not in a restricted area. I guess it could become restricted.
Well, Mike, it does specify everything else is restricted, but there's two things where it says if I become disorderly on federal property, or there was another reason.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what the other, I think it was causing damage to vandalism or something to property. That's the only way that statute would come into play.
Well, either way, there's already federal law that subsumes trespass in this case. And so for these local law enforcement agents to come on to federal property, enclave or not, that is governed exclusively by the Code of Federal Regulations and Title 18, then you're going to be in a situation where these law enforcement agents are acting and operating under color of law and color of official right. They have no legal authority in my view. Now, again, obviously, I'm not giving you legal advice. I want you to do your own research, but I always want you to come from the point of view that, wait a minute, this doesn't pass the smell test. How are these local law enforcement agents able to come on here and threaten you with trespass when they don't have the legal authority or training to enforce federal law or regulations? They don't even know what they're doing. And that's what those interagency agreements do. It allows those police to get that training, go to those classes that a federal agent would take, so they know how to enforce these laws that would affect something like this. And then there would be an agreement, there'd be protocols, there would be a way to get reimbursement from the local PD or even from the postmaster if they're enforcing a local law outside of the post office. Like, let's say there's a homeless encampment that's in a gully next to the post office, right, BZ? But it's not on federal property. Well, under that Assimilation Act, the federal agent could try to use some kind of a state law because it's affecting the federal property to arrest or have those homeless people moved away. So I just want you guys to be creative in the way that you think and not just be a critic, but try to like bring something to the conversation because what BZ and I are doing is these are called government accountability operations. All we're trying to do is hold the government accountable. We're not saying that we're sovereign citizens or anything like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, there's like systems in place. We just think that they're being run by the wrong people and they're not enforcing the laws properly. They've lowered standards. This whole DEI thing is just putting morons in positions of power. They're not qualified to be there. We should be putting people in positions of power based on merit.
Transparency and accountability. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, but merit too. These people have to prove that they're of value, that they know what they're doing, and they have to have a proven track record. So anyways, let's take a look here. Chevy. All right, Chevy. Well, Chevy, that's awesome. Now, just everybody know this, that you guys are supporting Chili right now. This is Chili's channel. And so anybody who can come forth with super chats, but more than that, man, buy his cop cards because YouTube gets a bunch of that money for the super chat. But those cop cards and those trifolds, those will help him. And that's how he was supporting, his channel and able to go out on these fire missions where we would try to help people who were being harassed by local cops and stuff. And now that's all gone away because he got locked up. So I'm trying to help out with BZ, and again, this is just, take all these things, these cop cards, these trifolds, is just educational equipment to add to your arsenal. Don't take them as mandatory authority. Don't take them as absolute law. Learn for yourself. I always encourage everyone to do your own research, but use baselines and things like that to get an idea.
Mike, before we start that beautiful beam footage, I just wanted to go another plug for Chili.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Learn the law, know your rights, guys. Always invoke your Fifth Amendment. Never talk to the coppers. Always film the coppers, and always invoke your Fourth Amendment. Never waive any of your rights. You invoke them, never waive them at any time. In the comment section, if you buy your trifold today or going on further, 2 days from now, 3 days from now, a week from now, if you guys put BZ or BZW or BZWatchdog, anything that has to do with the BZ, Chili's also going to he's authorized us to go ahead and throw in a set of 5A cop cars, driver and non-driver, with your trifold at no additional cost.
Yeah, and obviously make sure to get them through Delete Laws, because I guess there's somebody out there who's like pretending to be Chili and people are like
DeleteLaws.com. And if one of the like Chili or Chevy or Gloria Ad or Preston Wanker, Chuck Peter up there can put the link, that'd be great. So that way you guys can just click on the link and go directly there.
And then secure your person. Let's go ahead and get this bad chicken rolling.
Secure
your person.
Hey, everyone.
I'm the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules.
Okay. Texas or the United States?
All of it. You swore an oath to the United States Constitution and the Texas Constitution.
Texas, but now you're spouting off like.
Because you guys don't learn the United States Constitution. You only care about local codes. You guys aren't federally trained to even regulate federal property without a contract. Okay, I'll.
Okay. So you can come in here and they have no say on who comes and goes from their building.
Yes, sir.
Just because it's a federal place, that means anybody at any time can do anything they want here.
I didn't say that. I didn't say anything anytime. If you get disorderly, and they have the rules up there on the rule, they have a federal statute for disorderly.
Okay.
It's a federal statute,
okay,
not Texas statute. I've not been abusive. I've not been loud. I've not been threatening. I only engaged when they asked me a question, just like you just asked me. And I wasn't even raising my voice this time. Because you got,
They never said you did.
and I have it all on video. Hey, Sergeant.
Here it comes. Wait for it.
Sergeant, I need a reasonable officer because these three are going to lose their qualified immunity with the lawsuit that you guys will be hit with.
Oh my.
Under threat of arrest. All I need to do is call that postal inspector number like I asked your three guys to do and ask them if I have permission to film in the lobby. I never talked to anybody until I was engaged.
So what? So you were just you walked in and just started filming?
I can show you the video, sir.
Thanks,
I
Willie
haven't
B.
done
I
anything
appreciate
wrong
that.
that would
And
warrant a
then-
disorderly conduct or anything like that.
Yeah, no one's saying anything like that.
I haven't even conducted my business yet. But as my primary business under the First Amendment, freedom of press,
Yeah.
I have the right to film, and it says it right there on the rules and regulations, federal statutes, right there on the wall.
Yeah. I'm just trying to. So all you did, you walked in, you started filming, and then what happened?
They asked me why I was there to film. I said, I'm here to record. And I just, bottom line, didn't really have any more words with them. She went running in the back and caused a disturbance with everybody in the back. And everybody started doing this and started getting all right. And
Okay, so you never said anything to them. They approached you.
that's correct, sir. And the only reason that a few customers got irate is because they stirred up the pot. And then at one point, they even told one customer, stop, because they probably already know they screwed up. I just came from another post officer. This is the 10th one I've ever been at doing this. First time that cops have ever been called on me.
Okay, so what is this exactly?
This is their memo internally because they don't educate their employees.
Who is there? You say,
Postal Service, sir.
Okay.
So
This
this
is just
right?
a photocopy.
No,
I'm just
no,
trying to
I
make
took
sure
it because I
understand.
don't have my actual FOIA that I got from the post office.
Okay.
But this is their mandatory stand-up talk. This is the process and protocols they're supposed to do
Mm-hmm.
when engaged with a member of the press or anybody recording in a lobby. And they didn't even, I asked the girl for her name. She didn't want to give it. She didn't want to give me her title. I was trying to have a consensual conversation to let her know and educate her. But instead, everybody wanted to call you guys.
Read the memorandum.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sorry I'm amped up, but I got 4 people with guns sitting here with badges. You know what I mean? Under threat of arrest to leave. And under federal statute, you would have to hit me with a federal trespass code, not a Texas state penal code.
That's my
Not always
position.
accurate, but let me go talk to them.
And for officer safety reasons, I'm going to step out of your way, allow traffic to continue.
Auditor safety, baby.
Yeah.
Fuck officer safety.
Actually, I'm going to lean up against this bar behind you guys.
I don't think they can use the ACA. I
If
just
you
don't
guys have
think
any
they
more
can.
questions, I don't mind asking them.
No, you guys see, I
Always try to educate the postmaster, the installation head. They usually verify with the postal
I
inspector.
see in the window
or the
there,
chief postal inspector. They
like a
come out,
ninja.
tell me have a nice day, and that's it.
You said that. I've never seen that.
You guys see how BZ's like Jason Bourne? See him in the window. So basically, BZ's like, you guys ever seen a Jason Bourne movie? How he looks in the windows and the mirrors. He's like the Force Reconnaissance Jason Bourne post office auditor. Give me a bunch of ones for the Jason Bourne watchdog
And what's funny,
auditor.
everybody wants to make fun of me and call me out for my training and this and didn't have. This is prime example of being aware of your surroundings and using specialized tricks, techniques, and tactics at all times.
That's
on
like
the fly. On the fly.
You're like an SAS, highly skilled SAS operator.
Want to go that far, Mike? But,
Well, okay, maybe Delta then. Yeah, it kind of, because you know that a Ranger's a basically trained Marine. So if you're recon, you're probably like up there with Delta.
I'm just saying, man, for the people out there that don't know they can utilize this tactic, always use reflections with your camera because your camera only catches so much up, from a distance. But up close, you don't catch everything, but you can see everything back there. Now, you guys will notice in this video when he starts to approach me, when I pan back to the glass, you'll see him come in frame to the left side of the video there.
Yeah, and I see how you can use your SAS skills to see his magwell.
I can see behind me too.
You can see his magwell. I see you got your boonie cap on, your boonie cover.
That's 360-degree awareness right there.
Right. This guy looks like, based on this firearm, that looks like a Glock 19 right there, I would say.
And I love it how he goes
until it's
to get license plates. That's the funny part.
Oh, yeah. They're searching the parking lot to try to find your vehicle. That's pretty amazing. All right, here we go, guys. You ready for the bad chicken?
Thanks, James.
That happens, sir. I know people threaten it all the time and they don't follow through with it. But I'm actually probably more well versed with the post office and doing this than probably anybody else. No,
Man,
sir.
this
I'm
guy
just
looks like
exercising my First Amendment right. I mean, you took an oath to the Constitution, right?
According to Cranford's signed oath of office, it says that he will protect and preserve and defend the Constitution and laws.
You're supposed to protect my freedoms and uphold it, not violate them, right? Now, if I was on private property,
Hey, wait, by the way, guys, just really quick. So BZ got their freaking oaths of office. So a lot of people, that was sick. Give me a bunch of ones. BZ went out of his way. This took him a while to make this thing. This guy's going out and doing like high level stuff that a law firm would charge you probably $10, $20, $30,000 to do. I just want you guys to put things into perspective. What he's doing is a public service. And I really want you guys to support his channel. And that's why I wanted to write a book, because at least you have something you could give them where, they could help support you more.
Greg B's comment. Greg B's comment. As soon as they swear their oath, it's forgotten 5 seconds later. Don't you know?
Just support BZ's channel for me, guys. That's all I'm asking, because I think he's doing a public service.
Support Chili Dog.
You support Chili too, but support BZ, because even if it's direct donations or through like a GoFundMe, he's actually doing stuff that Chili used to do, but with his personality. So I really appreciate that, how it is evolving into something that we're holding the government accountable in a positive way. Government accountability operations, GAO, guys. That's what I stand for. Team ME is all about GAO. So give me a bunch of GAOs in the sidebar, guys. Let's go.
Absolutely. They don't even need a reason to trespass me. I understand that. Public building, unless I'm being disorderly.
Pause that for a second, Mike.
Yes, sir.
See
Aye, Lance Corporal.
Trespass. You
What's
want
that?
to get the people?
Can you be trespassed from a sidewalk? Is that what you're asking?
Yep. And then I say public park.
Only if I break the rules.
Again, it goes back to time, place, and manner. You have to have a reason.
Right. But so for me, I'm thinking to myself, why are you guys here? You don't even have authority to talk to me. I mean, I'm not violating any local ordinance, and you're local law enforcement. There's no interagency agreement. I'm not violating any federal law. Why are you here?
But forget all that. They don't even know time, place, and manner as a local cop like they should.
Right. But they could also, their counsel could rely on a jurisdictional split in case law that says that post offices aren't really traditional public forums. They're limited use. The time, place, and manner with the post office is much more restricted to just coming in and leaving, right? But that would belie the whole idea of Poster 7 and having the news being able to be there without permission. So that's why I'm having a problem with this, guys, and I hope that everybody is understanding. The issue is that there is an application of enforcement that's not fair, because nobody knows what's going on. It's vague and ambiguous and unintelligible to many. And of course, I'm always going to err on the side of more freedom. So there's other people who are going to err on the side of the state, because statists, or the Leviathan, the non-natural law thinkers, believe that the First Amendment hamstrings the government. Whereas I believe that the whole purpose of the Bill of Rights was to hamstring the government, because that's what needed to be done. They look at it, and from the Leviathan point of view, that it's bad that it hamstrings the government, because they want that Chinese communist style all-powerful power that they don't get in a situation where you have a constitutional republic. You guys ready for this bean footage?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, they have to have a reason. That would basically saying that because I'm holding a camera, you discriminate me and not let me have access that everybody else has.
Their issue is people are conducting business that has to do with financial transactions and stuff. They feel insecure.
Business that has to do with financial transactions and stuff. They feel insecure and stuff. They feel insecure.
About it being filmed.
When did you guys become the feelings police instead of law enforcement? You're not the feelings
I'm just telling
enforcement.
you the reason they call.
I understand that. But you're here to enforce the law, correct, sir?
And part of that is being when people aren't wanted on places.
Because of their feelings.
It doesn't matter. Like he was explaining, there doesn't have to be a reason.
It doesn't matter. Like he was explaining, there doesn't have to be a reason. It doesn't matter. Like he was explaining, there doesn't have to be a reason.
Whether you agree with it or not.
What do y'all do? Go to Tarrant County College for the academy?
That look is completely shameful.
He does not look happy.
He is insulted. The fact that I called him out on his college education didn't go to a real police academy.
I'm not trying to insult you, but that's where everybody.
Well, that's how you want to. I mean,
I'm not
we
trying
can
to
have
insult
a civil
you.
conversation, or you can be the way you are. That's
I'm not
fine.
trying to insult you. I'm just saying every officer I run into with that knowledge goes to the same academy. That's.
He looks like he's
that's just a
running
statement.
factory site.
It's fact based on my encounters of talking to and watching videos and investigate. Because I will be doing a public information request on all 4 of you. Trust me, at the end of the day, I'll have it all submitted.
It's all recorded.
And I'll have body cam and dash cam footage.
That's not a big deal.
Yeah, microscope up
Access
your
to something
ass.
you already have recorded. It's not
Oh, absolutely. That's why I got your name and badge number.
It's all recorded.
Absolutely. It's a matter of public record.
I know, exactly.
You guys don't think that I don't do this for a living.
It's nothing to do with it for a living. You act like it's a big deal for us for you to obtain information that's public. It's not a big deal.
It's not even about that. It's about now. Who? You're the one that went in and had the conversation with them, right?
I did.
Okay. And you didn't mute your mic or anything like that, right?
Why would I mute my mic?
Because that's conspiracy. I've seen it happen.
I think they're all running Glock 21s, dude. Put in the comments.
Now, though.
Put in the comments. Are those Glock 19s or Glock 21s? I think they're Glock 21.
Like I said, I will under threat of arrest, but let the sergeant do his thing. Let him call the postal inspection.
The magazines look too big.
You guys want to see the video that I didn't even initiate a conversation at all.
They didn't say you were doing any of that stuff. Like I said, they just.
So because I have access to the public like everyone else does, as a member of the media and the press, that I can't go in and simply I'm being singled out because I'm holding a recording, which
Most people don't do that.
which poster said. I mean, but anybody can go. You can go film your transaction if you want, though.
I'm well aware.
So they're
if
gonna.
they allow me to, if they told me they're not going to
If
complete
they
my
allow-
transaction because I'm filming, then I can't. No one can force them to do it, right?
Actually, that's correct. That's incorrect, sir. Based on the rules and regulations. All right, Sarge, what'd you come up with?
What's your name? I didn't get that when I first.
I'll identify as good citizen for now.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I'm Sergeant Bray. If you didn't get that from my name,
I didn't get your.
Navy veteran, TCU college graduate. 8 commendations.
So 882.
Okay.
So here's the deal. They're fine with you recording.
Okay.
They said you're allowed to record inside. The one thing that they're requesting is that you just don't go past those doors where people are doing financial stuff. That's their only request.
Did you
Can
call the
we-
postal inspector, sir?
I have not called the postal.
Okay,
inspector.
if you do, but in all foyers, lobbies, hallways, and corridors, which that is a lobby.
Yeah.
Okay, the postal inspector will tell you on the phone. The only thing I can't do is zoom in on that credit card machine
I know.
and that letter. And I didn't. I stood in an area where I couldn't see it, but there's a sign in front. I was just doing the lobby. The reason is there's been a lot of complaints about the employees here. It's the only reason I came here, and I just was observing the employees interact with the customers. And like I said, when they engaged me, I was just short to the point. No reason to go back and forth. I'm not here to cause a verbal disturbance.
Yeah.
I'm just here to get my content, my footage, observe them. And if there's any complaints I got to put in, then I'll go back and do that with the postal service.
Yeah, and so I did explain that to him. I said that it is not illegal to record people, whether it makes people uncomfortable or not. It's not illegal. I did explain that to him. Their only request is that you stay on this side of the doors. Legality aside, that's just a request. I'm trying to find some common ground.
I
You're a
understand.
reasonable guy. They're not as well versed in this stuff.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
is it
course they're
unreasonable
not.
to ask that of you?
You can ask that, but sir, all I'm asking you is to get verification from the people that actually
Would
do
you
law.
like me to call them?
Absolutely,
Yeah, I can call them.
absolutely. Just so your reference,
Uh-huh.
and then that way, when they're wrong,
So-
you can go ahead and educate them
Well, and like I said, I just told them that
Yes,
it's
sir.
legal for you to record.
right here. All you got to do is call that. That's the 1-800 number for the postal service and for law
Well,
enforcement to call.
Okay.
The 1-877
Just so
number.
I'm clear, because this is dated 2022. I'm not
I-
saying that anything's changed.
That's
but
their
what-
memo. That's their memo inside the
what
postal
is-
service.
This was sent to you, and you
I-
just took a copy of it.
I
or
did a
what?
FOIA. I don't have my original document in case something happens. I have this picture copy that I printed out.
Okay.
The handwritten stuff is on another memo that I physically saw that was unredacted.
Okay.
And all I did was copy it over to that one right there.
Okay, so this is something that you got.
Yes, sir. If you talk to the postal
And
inspector,
who wrote all this stuff on there?
I hand wrote that on that copy there.
Okay.
There's protocols that they redacted on the form that I got.
Okay, so you would like me to call this?
Yes, sir. I just want you to complete the investigation. I'm not here to cause an issue, but these officers don't know for future next time this happens somewhere else in North Richland Hills. I want to make sure they're educated so we don't have to go through this big catastrophe.
I think the gray area, the confusion is in that they don't want to.
I still haven't even bought my stamp yet.
Yeah, they're not wanting. All they're asking is that you don't go past those doors because they said that it looked like you were trying to zoom in on stuff.
No, sir, and I can show you that. I never zoomed in on any of that.
Well, and whether you did or not, I'm just saying I think that's kind of where everything happened, where all the confusion started.
But I talked to the chief post. I can't remember his name because it was 2 months ago.
Three months now, almost a month ago.
Yeah.
Bypass all this.
Okay, absolutely.
We have direct contact.
I'd save you time from running them all the plates. Mine's a rental, so you're not going to pull it back to me. I make sure I secure my persons under the 4th Amendment. So I know, I understand. You got to do your thing. I understand. I'm just letting you know. I already secure my persons, papers, property, and effects. That's all I'm doing. From unlawful searches and seizures. I served in the military, guys. I took an oath to that Constitution. I was hoping you guys would uphold yours. That's why I wanted the sergeant involved.
Damn!
Sometimes you guys aren't well versed in stuff like this because it probably rarely happens out here in North Richland Hills.
As soon as I get the number.
That's fine. I got all day to wait. I know you guys don't, but I know you're here on the call until it's completed. You can't go anywhere. I just want to make sure everyone's educated. So like I said, because a lot of these post offices I go to, they don't educate their own employees.
Yeah.
And I was just at another location in Haltom City. Even the installation head, who's above the postmaster, didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I talked to the chief postal agent for DFW, and I made sure I asked all these questions, got all this clarity before I stepped foot in a post office. I'm not coming in half cocked like a cowboy.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Well, like I said, I think some of the confusion starts when people assume that their uncomfort equals
Their feelings, but that's not a law.
Yeah, no, I agree. I explained that to them. That just because customers are uncomfortable doesn't make it illegal. But our goal, obviously, is to keep the peace.
Absolutely.
Right? So all I'm trying to do is find some common ground. Their only request was that you don't go past those doors. And then, like I said, as a courtesy, I'll call.
No,
The request is that you don't exercise your
while
rights.
we're waiting, but you're on the phone.
Yeah, I'm calling him right.
Federal rules. It's not a code. It's not a local code. It's a rule and regulation of federal property. How long y'all been on the department? Or I'm sorry, let me rephrase that question. How long y'all been peace officers? How long have y'all been peace officers?
Over 10 years.
I didn't want to insult you with the wisdom and experience you look like you might have, sir.
Look at this smug jackwagon. He was causing a scene like a Karen inside. Now he's got a shirt that says freedom is not free with that smug ass look on his face.
That was one of the people that threw a fit in there, and then they had to calm him down.
Okay. So yeah, just like I said, I verified.
So they're trying to say I can't go in that lobby recording either?
No. I just said that's their request. They have requested that you don't go past those doors. I explained to them there's nothing illegal about it.
As long as I don't zoom in on mail, and as long as I don't zoom on a credit card machine to try to capture, which would be illegal, federal, and possibly state.
Yeah.
But can I educate you on one real quick thing on their rules inside this lobby right here, not right here on the poster 7, and it's also outdated, which means they need to come up with.
Oh, look, now we're going.
It's, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What would you like to show me?
As soon as the gentleman's done, I want to make sure. So this is rules and regulations governing conduct on postal property. If you look right here, sir, obviously they have a federal code for disturbances, which would be our version of disorderly conduct in Texas. Where is public assembly, which is not it. It is photographs for news, advertising, commercial purposes.
Okay.
Are you okay with me taking this down so you can read this?
No, don't take anything down.
Do you want to step?
Yeah.
Says in all hallways, corridors, foyers, and lobbies, which.
Yeah. No, and that's what I said. They're not saying you can't. They're asking that you don't.
Okay, so I can go back in there.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to do is, like I said, I'm trying to find.
Yeah, but
all I want to do at this point, Sergeant Bray, in all honesty, if you want to find the common ground and just get me out of here so you guys can move on about your day, and I'll be more than happy to. I won't really call this a walk the shame from my video because I think you were very reasonable.
Yeah.
And I asked to get you involved to educate these officers. Is to go in here, educate, let me purchase my stamp so that way I can get my survey.
Okay. So
And
you
then
just want to go and purchase a stamp? Can I walk in there?
Can you also educate them that I'm allowed to be in that lobby recording?
I already told them that.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
So that's all. Come on, stamp envelope, please.
Look at the attitude on this one.
Well, they've definitely earned their 2-star rating on Yelp and all the different review stuff. They're really rude. I mean, I've read the reviews. They're just terrible. Like they literally hate their customers, you know?
And she just slammed the.
Oh, yeah, you can tell she's not a happy camper.
Thank you. Is your name on there so I can do the survey?
Have a good one, sir. You ready?
Oh, you see that. So it wasn't me. All right, sorry, you're brave. So I just want to thank you for, at least being a reasonable peace officer. You may want to just educate the troops a little bit. Are you the patrol sergeant for all three of those guys?
Yes, I'm the A shift, one of the A shift patrol sergeants.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I need.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you talking to me, and
I'm just trying to stand up for my First Amendment rights, sir.
I totally get it.
And
you're not the first, you won't be the last. So
well, and I'm a little bit more reasonable than most. I'm not going to sit here.
I'll probably agree with that for sure. It's like I explained to him already. You're well within your rights.
And so now I have something to file a complaint with the Office of the Inspector General based on their conduct. So and breaking protocol, as you can see on the memo. So I just want to thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Have a good day, sir.
At the time this video was edited, there have been no lawsuits or complaints filed, but they are coming soon.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch me outside. How about that?
Well, that was pretty badass, man. I got to tell you, I like government accountability operations, especially with the post office, because what a terrible organization, the way they're run, the nepotism and all the stuff you hear about what goes on at the post office and all the allegations that they get, that they're hauling around fake ballots and stuff. I just don't want to hear stuff like that anymore. It makes me scared.
But we didn't comment on the other night when we were on your channel doing this. But you know what the funniest part of the whole thing was? Is they were laughing about how they were going to get rid of me.
Yeah.
The cops were coming up determined they were going to get rid of me. And they were dismissed. And them girls were not happy in there. They took them smiles and turned them upside down.
They sure did. Yeah, that was interesting, though, that you were able to maintain your control by your demeanor, by being kind.
I ain't gonna lie. Somebody said in the comments in the very beginning, dealing with the cops, no matter how you've been doing this, it's nerve-wracking. I was like I'm sure you guys could hear it in my voice or some of the words I had, but it was like a duck with just the feet just paddling all the way, because I was trying to leave on my own 2 feet, but I was also trying to push it as far as I could take it before that point. I was trying to read the room. So, but when I got that sergeant involved and he just happened to be on site, oh man, I couldn't just help with the insults, man. I couldn't help to insult him.
That was pretty good, but you did it in a way that I still thought it was kind. You're not malicious like some people that do these trolling videos. You're still cool about it, and your demeanor is nice. And I think that goes a long way when you're in front of a jury. They don't like jerks, so Well done. By the way,
like Terrence says, remaining calm annoys the cops even more. I truly believe that, because that guy to my left, boy, did he hate me. He hated me.
Do you think that the fact that the sergeant was Navy and you were wearing your boonie cover, do you think that had any significance in your interaction at all?
I think it had something to do with that, my verbiage, and the fact that he probably took his oath seriously compared to these knuckleheads, who I could tell not military at all. They were just one of them was a rookie. The guy that said he's been doing it 5 years, on the job, so he hasn't been doing it 5 years. Said he's been doing it 10 years, 3, and obviously if he doesn't know time, place, and manner, he doesn't know. If he's been doing it 10 years, he should have quit 9.5 years ago.
He did not look like a good officer.
My own job to protect my own rights has been doing it 23 years. He should quit the minute he signed that, because he lied on his oath. They're all liars. I mean, they're all liars. That's all they do. I think they lie worse than lawyers do. No offense to you, Mike. I know you guys,
Well, I don't have the legal right to lie. Only the police do.
You know how things just it feels like you guys lie, even though you may not.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But,
I know people hate lawyers, but as you probably can see, I don't hang out with lawyers that much. I hang out with normal people.
I don't know who we hate more: cops, lawyers, or judges. But they're all up there.
But when I'm not here, I'm going to be trying to take a judo class before I re-injure myself, or I'm going to be at the gym or the gun range with normal blue collar people. So, but I do appreciate what you're saying.
I feel that there's a conflict of interest with the cops lying, because that means they can lie while they stopped you. We've seen it on body cameras when they lie to their own supervisors on camera. If you're going to lie, I think only detectives should be able to lie, and in a controlled room during an interrogation. That way it's all on video that they lied. That way what lies it was. And I understand they're trying to get criminals, but man, dude, you're going to sit here and lie about why you stopped me so you can plant stuff on me? That's not catching a criminal. That's actually creating 2 crimes right there. But anyway, guys, if you do get stopped by the police, I'm just saying, make sure you have your trifold in hand, learn the law, know your rights, just like I did, because if you get good enough, and I'm not saying do what I do, or like Chili says, don't do what he does, because he just wants you to go home alive. It is about citizen safety, or in my case, auditor safety, because all they care about is officer safety. They don't care about you. But I know I've got my green screen on, so I don't know if you guys can see the trifold.
Yeah, we see it.
But it really is great, because it does have case law step by step on how to deal with the cops, what to do. So that way you can make sure that you have your hands always in the touchdown position with phone in one hand, your trifold and all your documents in the other hand. Because the most important thing is not to incriminate yourself and go home at the end of the day. The more you talk to the cops, the more anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Me, as you can see, I probably know more about the law than they do. So it was a real brutal beating on their part. It was 4 against 1. I had the deck stacked against me, but they tried to call the bluff, but I was holding all the cards. So I don't. Oh, by the way, for that trifold, guys, if you guys put BZ or BZWatchdog in, we'll make sure that you get a free set. I'm trying to get that in there, of your 5A cop cards, 1 for the driver and 1 for non-driver. It has a complete little script on there. The trifold's the way to go. Always keep it in your vehicle. I only pulled mine out tonight because I was asked to help with showing that I actually have one in my vehicle, so I pulled it out of my car. I always keep it in my visor. You get a nice thick, what they call, I guess you call it like a vegetable or broccoli rubber band. Nice thick rubber band that goes with it. So yeah, help Chili out, man. I'm telling you guys, we only got about 31 days before our fearless leader gets decisioned on, and I have a 99.9% what's the word I'm looking for? Absolute 99.9% that his appeal will be granted. There's that slight 0.01% that something may go wrong, because I'm not 100% absolute, but I've been calling it since day one. I just know how corrupt that system is. But going to an appeals court, you just have a different type of judge that just isn't what I'd say biased because she has no skin in the game. But she may, if she doesn't decide on it, she may hear a lot of public outcry, so she may not want to deal with that grief. So I think he's got a pretty good shot of having his case appealed, overturned, and being released earlier than anticipated. So I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
Well, I think that's pretty fair. I just want to show you guys really quick. I am at 3:00. We're going to have to sign off on my channel. Yeah, if you want 3:00 Pacific, if you want to join me, you can come over there too, BZ. On my channel, I'm doing one on qualified immunity. One of my viewers specifically asked me to talk about the recent cases and different judges who are saying that qualified immunity is BS and they want to get rid of it. So we can talk about what qualified immunity is and what you mean when you tell the police, hey man, if you don't do this right, you're going to lose your qualified immunity. So we're going to talk about that.
Well, my video is a good example for setting them cops up, because that's what I did.
Well, I think that it's a good example of how the police can set themselves up when they violate your rights, because I think your job should be to hold the government accountable and hope that they do their job right. And if they don't, then you have no option but to file a grievance and seek justice through possibly a civil rights claim, possibly a complaint to the department. It just depends on what your damages are and how far you want to go with your case. Ultimately, you want to send a message to public servants that you're keeping an eye on them and that they're being paid by taxes and they have a special role as public servants. They're in a position of public trust and they hold an office of public trust, and they have enormous amounts of power that they can yield beyond what their office allows them over a lot of things in the back and behind the scenes, like nepotism and all these other things. And so it's really, really important that we hold public servants accountable. And government accountability operations, give me a bunch of GAOs in the sidebar. That's what we're about, Team ME. And give me a bunch of OTVOs for Chile about overturning Terry versus Ohio. And smash that like and subscribe button. Give me some. BC.
Anybody that's been watching that Trolls channel last night or yesterday, I got to go eat my cheesecake because, that was the whole joke yesterday is Jabba the Hutt's got to go eat his cheesecake. So,
smash that cheesecake. Smash that cheesecake.
Smash that cheesecake.
Let's see. Hey, I love it. GAO, OTVO. Let's OTVO. And obviously, thanks, April Rain, for showing up again, as always, and supporting the brand and supporting our friend while he's away. Lori Brand, again, thanks, OTVO. Give me more OTVOs. Give me a bunch of GAOs, government accountability operations. That's what it's all about. And everybody make sure to like and subscribe over to BZWatchdog's channel. And I have to go make a quick head and water call and get my channel tuned up. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Let me see, how many minutes do I have? Oh man, I have about 15 minutes. So BZ, if you want to join me, I'll send you a link. Just give me a second. So everybody come over to @Michael Ehline in a couple minutes, about 15 minutes, to the @Michael Ehline channel. And my show is going to be on Michael Ehline's injury lawyer reaction, judges attack cops, qualified immunity defense, and what's going on, and what's going on with all these judges in court starting to turn against this whole concept that police, it's almost impossible to hold police accountable when they violate people's rights. So that's going to be a really cool one. So that being said, BZ, if you want to say your goodbyes, I'm going to go ahead and close out.
No, I'm pretty much good. Make sure you guys go ahead and get your trifold, add BZ or BZWatchdog in there. Get your 5A cop card set included with that code. And outside of that, we'll see you on the next live stream.
Are you holding up the cop card so they can see what it looks like? And the trifold? That's a cop card.
Basically gives you an exact script and what they're going to say. Remember, they got a playbook. Chili knows the playbook. I've learned the playbook. Plus, I've learned to call an audible when I need to.
When you're super stressed out, it's a good guide. But do your own research. Make sure that it supports your state and local situation. I think that it's pretty solid, though, as a general principle to look at and get an idea and learn your rights, learn the law. So with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save. Come check me out on the @Michael Ehline channel in a couple of minutes here, and we'll talk about qualified immunity. God bless everybody. Semper Fidelis. Semper Fi, do or die.